33,600 people began new lives in 2016 because of organ donation. Another person is added to the transplant list every 10 minutes. Approximately 8,000 people died. Approximately 95% of the American population donations, but only about 54% is still on the line to become an organ donor. They say, oh, I'll get to it later. A single donor can save up to 8 lives. So one donor, 8 people can benefit. More people nationwide need kidney transplants. This is Chris's mom helped out. Liver is number 2. Kidneys are harder to match and harder to find. There's just more stuff to do now and all those details. Here are all the numbers. Y'all have a list already on it. I'll just go over the 2. U.S. kidney people waiting for liver or for kidneys in the U.S. is 98,833. North Carolina is 2,518 people in North Carolina waiting for a kidney. That's 3 times the population of your school. So think about all the kids running around school. Liver in U.S. is 14,460. In North Carolina, it's 211 waiting for livers. And you can see the rest of the numbers. And you said you did send them.
They have that. They have a link to this that they can use if they need it for research.
Okay, there you go. Going through that. So why I need a new liver? In 1972, a long time ago, when I was born 3 months premature. I was sick, and they gave me a blood transfusion for whatever the various reasons are. Anyway, I was very jaundiced, and they gave me a blood transfusion. In the United States, the United States instituted universal screenings in 1992 to screen blood for things such as HIV, hepatitis C, etc. In my early 20s, I decided to donate blood to the Red Cross. After donating blood to the Red Cross, I received a letter from the Red Cross that said, "Thank you for your donation, but please don't do it again. You have a virus. You need to go see your doctor." After further testing at my regular doctor, I had hepatitis C. At that time, I didn't really understand what it meant, what was going to happen, and how it was going to change my life, and nor did I have any ill side effects. I was fine. I felt fine. What's this virus you're talking about? Currently, the risk of transfusion-related HCV, which is hepatitis C virus, is 1 in 149,000. So they really, the risk is gone, or virtually nil. For several years prior to my first transplant in 2005, I tried several different medications. They had some things that worked kind of, sort of, put you in remission. These drugs made me feel very sick, made me feel like I had the flu. None of these medications worked for me and would not rid my body of the virus. I learned during this time that I have very hard genotype hepatitis C to fight. There are 3 genotypes that I'm aware of. Genotype 1, which I have, was the most common and hardest to treat the viruses.
Ray's genotype of the virus was explained to me like it's a very tricky, very smart genotype. So when he would begin to take a drug to try to kill the hepatitis C, it would begin to work for a while, but then the genotype would make like a new copy of the virus to kind of try to psych the medication out. So the medication would start attacking this part of the virus that it thought it was supposed to, but then there were these new copies, and it didn't know to attack those. So he had a very tricky, very kind of like sneaky genotype to fight.
So in the fall of 2005, I was referred to Duke Medical Center, where I went under the evaluation for a transplant. Even then, I didn't quite understand because they said, "Hey, we want to check you, or we want to evaluate you for a transplant." They didn't say you need a transplant. So we're saying, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." I was listed for a liver transplant in the fall of 2005, right in the October time frame. By Christmas that year, my health was failing, and I was very, very sick. At the time, we had a 1-year-old. His name was Jackson. This was not only a scary time for me, but for my whole family. We knew I needed a transplant, but then you also realize that someone has to die for me to get a transplant, because unlike what Chris's mother did, there's only one liver in the body. And you take that out, there's no substitute. So So here I am wishing for someone to pass away so that I can survive. And I struggled with that a lot. So, and I went to my church. I didn't know where else to go. I went there crying. I want somebody to die so I can live. What's wrong with me? And they explained it. It's not that I want somebody to die, that if someone dies, it's show they're a match. It's just completely natural. You can't help it. I was listed for a liver transplant. Oh, I already did that. On May 15th, 2006, I received an offer for a new liver. And I had my first transplant. I was very, very sick. Prior to my transplant and after surgery, I learned that I had not received, or had I not received this liver, the doctors gave me about a week to live. So I was very sick in the hospital already. I pretty much was, from what I know, unconscious because I don't remember anything. I woke up. My wife Janet tells me you've had a liver transplant. That was how I found out I had a transplant. I was in ICU. Had I not had that transplant, the doctors had already told her before the transplant, there's nothing else we can do. If I don't get an organ within about a week, I was going to die. My first donor was a 42-year-old female. That was all I ever found out about her. I don't know anything about her. I just know it was a woman. She was 42. That was it. We sent a letter to the family, never heard anything back. And how you send letters through, how to give it to Duke is it to the organ donation to people, and they send it. So it's completely blind. They don't know who we are, we don't know who they are. You want to do this part? Because you can do it better. How decides what when.
So with Ray's first donor, like you just said, we did write a letter to that family, or I wrote a letter to that family. You send it through Carolina Donor Services, who handles our region, and then they contact the family to see if they want to even receive the letter. So I never know if our letter, even if the family wanted to receive it, if they received it and they just read it and then chose not to respond back. I don't ever know. I like to tell myself that maybe they just received it and they read it and it just made them feel good and happy that they blessed a family like they did. So UNOS is who determines what organ goes where. UNOS stands for United Network for Organ Sharing, and they maintain a computer network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's transplant professionals called transplant coordinators who have access to this UNOS database. So when Ray went to Duke and he was evaluated, we were assigned a transplant coordinator, and she would keep up with Ray each week, like how his health was, how his blood work was, if he was sick, if he was not well, what we needed to do to get him well. And usually that was the person that we were in contact with if it was between the hours of 8 to 5. If it was after hours, then sometimes you would have another coordinator that would call you if there was a problem or something like that. Generally, organs are offered to the sickest patients first that are within the same region. And I have a picture of the whole United States on the next slide that shows you what region we're in. Factors that include who gets an organ at what time include your medical urgency, how sick you are, the tissue match, blood type, length of time that you've been on the waiting list, your immune status, whether you're healthy at the time, whether you're sick, and then the distance between the actual recipient and the donor. If it's too far, then it may shift and go to another region versus the first region that they thought it might go to. All of these things, a recipient is given a MELD score, and they generally go based on your MELD score. And I think it starts at to be listed,
15,
it was like you had to be over a 15. And I think it goes up to 40. One of these websites that I listed for you guys, if you wanted to know the exact number, you could look that up for sure.
15 is like the beginning, and if you hit a MELD score to 40, you're dead.
Right.
I hate to be blunt, but that's pretty much what it means.
The organ is offered to the transplant center. The transplant team can decide to either accept the organ or deny the organ. A lot of times, transplant hospitals have their own teams, and they actually fly them out to where the donor is. A lot of times these transplant teams like to see the organ themselves. They like to look at it themselves, touch it themselves, decide if they're really happy with that. I used the example in the last class that maybe Miss Bland was at a hospital and they had a donor that was ready to donate a liver, and she might call my hospital and say, we've got a match for such and such. Well, even though Miss Bland's told me it's a match and she might think that it looks good, I want to send my own team out so that they can see the organ themselves to decide, is that the standard that our hospital uses and is used to? Because we might see it and we might say, no, this isn't good enough. This isn't what we like to put in patients. And sometimes that happened, and that happened to Ray one time, that we found out that there was a liver, and by the time the transplant team went and looked at it, they called back to the hospital and they said, no, we're going to pass on this organ because we don't like the way it looks. We think that it's not as healthy of a liver as it could be, and we only want to put the healthiest liver inside a sick patient to give them the best chance to survive. When a patient is selected, they also have to be healthy enough to undergo surgery, and sometimes you're sick, and when you're sick and you're waiting for an organ, you have to come off the list. And so if it takes you a week or two to get better, then you're off the list for that time until you're healthy enough and they put you back on. And you just really hope during that time that an organ hasn't come available that you have to pass on because you have the flu or you have pneumonia or you've got some sort of infection. Once all the organs are allocated, so once they've decided which hospitals in the area are going to take each organ, then the surgery for the patient is scheduled, and then the organ team goes out, the transplant team goes out, and they get the organs to bring back to the hospital. And usually this process just in itself can take between 24 and 36 hours, just for UNOS to divide everything up where it needs to go, get all the teams in place, schedule flights or helicopters or whatever. So it can take anywhere from a day to a day and a half to get all that done. These are the regions. There's 11 regions across the whole United States. You can see that our region is region 11. Our region consists of Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. And then you can look, if you want another example, like we'll use region 1 for example. That includes Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Eastern Vermont. So some regions may seem a little smaller than others. And as you grow up and you may hear of people who potentially may need a transplant, sometimes you might hear that they may go to a smaller region to live and establish residency so that maybe they could get up the list faster and they could receive an organ faster than maybe one of these large regions where it may take them years, to receive an organ. Okay?
All right, so I'll come back in. We'll get to your question if you have it, so don't worry. Just remember, 6 years has passed. I had my first transplant, all was good. During the 6 years, I tried those same medications to try to help fight the hepatitis again because the transplant was not a cure for hepatitis. It was just allowed to prolong my life so I could be here longer. So I tried those medications again. They didn't work, which made me sick again. Felt like I had the flu a lot. Even though I had a new liver, the hepatitis C was still in my blood. Overall, 50 to 80% of the people treated for hepatitis C at the time were cured, but I had a tricky genotype of the virus that she's already explained to you. Since I was also taking immune suppression medication, which keeps my immune system from fighting the donor organ, it wouldn't fight the hepatitis C anymore. So the hepatitis C was like, ooh, party. They did what they wanted to do. So in April 2012, right, I was listed for an organ again. My MEL score was a 23. Just a few short months later, in June of 2012, my MEL score was a 31. And I was number 1 on Duke's transplant list. By the evening of June 12th, I received a call that there was a liver that was a near perfect match. So all these tests that they do, they didn't even wait. They called me and said, Ray, it's a perfect match. We need you to get down here. I was at the Red Oak Fire Department. I went home, told her, we got in the car, we're at Duke about after 10 o'clock. By the next morning, June 13th, 2012, the surgery began the next morning. Surgery lasted 16 hours. It took 12 hours to get the old liver out because my body had made so much scar tissue inside. It's a byproduct of surgery. Some people do it more than others. My body, for some reason, was bad. It was like cobwebs on the insides, is what the surgeon told my wife. So instead of just taking a scalpel or razor and just open it up, they had to chip away at it. Kind of chip away at concrete is what she told my wife. Slowly but surely, a little bit. If they go too fast, they cut an artery or something, and you bleed out. They go really slow. So generally, the donor organ will only last on my ice 14 to 15 hours maximum. My surgery lasted 16 hours before they put the blood back to it. So we were pushing in blood. They didn't know if I was going to make it off the table. That's what they told her during surgery. So I almost did. So I almost died before the first one. I almost died during the second. The liver that I received not only lasted, but immediately began to pinken up once transplanted, began to thrive in my body. So the organ went great. Couldn't ask for a better, stronger organ, and there was a reason. On June 17, 2012, Father's Day, I was able to see my kids for the first time. By June 22nd, 10 days after my transplant, I was released from Duke Medical Center. But the first time I was in a hospital for 30 days because I was so sick before. Second time I wasn't sick before, so I was stronger. I got out quicker. Things went well. For 3 weeks after surgery, though, I couldn't come back to Greenville. I lived too far away from Duke. We had to stay in an apartment in Durham. We lived in a furnished apartment in Durham for 3 weeks or so. I would go every few days to get blood work done for checkups and monitoring at Duke. Once they felt like I was stable enough, I was released to return home and then drive back and forth to Duke, for visits once a week. Right after transplant, there are a lot of medications you have to take for the first 3 months. They slowly begin to wean you off of those medications. So you've all seen the medications of, you have your thing morning and night. Well, mine was morning, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, nighttime. So I had 4 slots per day for 7 days. And you had to keep up with all that. And you had to take certain drugs at certain times, certain drugs, 70 apart from eating, 70 apart from taking this other drug. So it was a challenge. I also have to be careful. Currently, and for the remainder of my life, I have to take anti-rejection medication. I take 2, cyclosporin and Cellcep. It's 3 pills I take every morning and every night. Period. I also have to be careful with my kidneys, drinking lots of water and monitoring them through blood work. Because after my second transplant, my kidneys took a hit from such a tough surgery. So, bless you. So between 2 liver transplants, a really extremely hard second surgery, my kidneys are no longer 100%. One day, possibly, I'll need someone like your mother to help me again. So I could need another transplant, possibly in the future. So this is me. There's your friend, Jackson. When he was 8 years old.
He looks the same in the left picture. I don't know about the right.
I don't know about the
That's his sister, Ralph.
That's why.
That's why. So that's me in the hospital. You can still see I have things coming out of my neck here. Various lines and PICC lines. These are because the blood paths are so big in your neck. If you need some medication during your surgery, they can just slam it in there. Alright, so this is why this stuff's here. They're large diameter. It's not like when they stick you with a little bitty needle. This is large, big stuff. Okay, and that's why they had another one up here. Same thing, so they could get right in if they had to quickly. So there you go. So now you can say you saw Jackson. Yes, and it looks the same. Look, a little bit taller by a few inches.
I don't think he's ever changed his hairstyle.
Yeah.
It was short there.
It was
It's
really short.
longer now.
I used to buzz cut him in the summer.
That's what my dad used to do to me.
Yeah, until you get old enough to care for it yourself. All right, so less than 38% of the population is eligible to give blood. Nearly 21% or 21 million blood products are transfused each year. Only 7% of the people in the U.S. have universal blood type, which is O negative. So back to the donor. My first donor, I'm a B positive blood type. In liver donation, they only match the letter. So B, A, B, O, etc. Well, if you're an O, you're a universal blood donor. You're a universal organ donor too. So I was so sick, they couldn't get me a B in time. A person died that was an O, and they gave it to sustain life. During the second surgery alone, I received 30 units of blood. A unit is around a pint. And I said actually a liter earlier, I was wrong. Anyway, so a pint, 16 ounces. You know, your Pepsi bottle you buy in the store is 20 ounces, right? So two of those Pepsi bottles, or I'm sorry, one of those Pepsi bottles, ballpark, is a unit of blood. Put up 30 of those things. That's how much blood I had during my surgery. Now, between that surgery and the first surgery, I was responsible, just me by myself, for almost 60 units of blood.
Is that good? Or is
No.
that bad?
So that's why it's so important to be blood donor. You know, to go to the Red Cross. Suck it up. You don't like needles. I don't like needles. As many times I've been stuck, I still don't like them. But if I was allowed to donate blood, I'd go right now if I was there. It's a momentary pain for a lot of help.
So if you think of all the people that probably use blood for in surgeries, people who've gotten in car accidents.
So they stick like a big needle with a big case in the back. It's not like you suck all that blood.
No,
out.
it's
No.
not. It's not like a big needle at all. It's like
It's
really,
a needle
like
and it's hooked to a tube and it goes to a bag.
It's like a bag. It's not that bad. It doesn't
it's
even
not
hurt.
bad.
And then when
You-
it's done, they give you
Is
like
it kind of like a
Yeah.
shot? Is it kind of like your flu?
They
flu
give
shot
you-
that
It
you
hurts a
get?
lot
A
less
little
than
bit
a
more.
shot because you don't really. When I got mine, they had to take blood to see if I had a virus about a year and a half back, but it didn't really even hurt. You have a little tapey thing.
They give you like a cookie and
So let's get back on track so we don't run out of time. All right, so here's my hero. There's his picture right there. Oh, back. Go forward. Okay. Jonah Kelly King. He was 16 years old when he died. He was a few years older than that. So this is the part I really want y'all to listen, not only about organ donation, but there's another little story here that I really want y'all to pass along. On the night of June the 11th, 2012, Jonah King was involved in a skateboarding accident. He was taken to the hospital in Winston-Salem, Children's Hospital, and in Winston-Salem was flown by helicopter. The evening of June 12th, I received a call the liver was available for me. On the morning of June 13th, the transplant began. He was not wearing a helmet. He fell off his skateboard and he hit his head. He's done. He's gone. Done. Just like that. His friend was following him in the truck as he was riding a longboard down a hill. Said how fast he could go. His friend was in his truck following him, watched him fall and hit his head. Nothing we could do about it. So he was not wearing a helmet. Jonah had recently gotten his driver's license, and he wanted to be an organ donor. He wanted to be an organ donor. I want to say that twice. He made sure his parents knew his wishes. Through his gift of organ donation, he saved countless lives. After Jonah's death, his family became very passionate about helmet awareness and making sure children everywhere, number one, have access to helmets. Number two, that they wear them and prevent an accident like Jonah's. They have started the JKK Foundation, which, well, that's not actually a real show there. These are little stickers they made that they put on helmets and things. During the month of June every year, Jonah King's family celebrates the life of Jonah and have a big helmet fundraiser every year for his birthday, around the closest weekend of June 28th. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in 2010 in the U.S., 800 bicyclists were killed and an estimated 515,000 sustained bicycle-related injuries that required emergency department care. Roughly half of these cyclists were children and adolescents under the age of 20. Additionally, 26,000 of these bicycle-related injuries to children and adolescents are traumatic brain injuries treated in emergency departments. 26,000 kids had head injuries. The traumatic brain injury, in other words, TBI. If you ever hear anybody say, I had a TBI, I had a traumatic brain injury. Well, they just put on a helmet. Doesn't matter if friends make fun of you. Oh, you got on a helmet. You won't be here anymore. Wear a helmet. So that's Jonah. That's Jonah before going to his junior prom. He lived in Salisbury, North Carolina. He lived about 3 hours, 2.5 hours west of here. Went to Rowan High School. So today I'm hepatitis C free, and I have been since December of 2013. Remember I told you all these different medications. I was lucky enough in November of 2013 to get into a drug trial for a new hepatitis C drug with a drug company named Gilead at Duke University. Today, my family and I have gained additional family members and the drug trial obviously was successful. So now you see these commercials on TV. Anyway, you see the commercials on TV. If you have hepatitis C, consult your doctor. That's the drug company. I was in that drug trial. They show all these older folks on TV, and I'm not that old, but I was in that drug trial. So anyway, so today my family and I have gained additional family members because in the spring of 2014, we were able to begin to talk with and meet Jonah's mom, dad, grandparents, uncles, cousins, friends. The young man that was behind him the night he died, I met him. He went to ECU when he graduated high school. His name's Kevin. I've even been able to meet the man who received Jonah's lungs. I've also been in contact with the young man who has Jonah's heart. He was also 16 at the time. His name's John Diamanto. He's in New Jersey. Friends with him on Facebook. He was supposed to come down this summer, but he couldn't at the last minute somehow. He was actually in a car wreck, but he's fine. Spreading the word about organ donation, blood donation, and helmet safety is very important to myself and my family as it's part of our story. Jackson will tell you if you ask him. He wears a helmet. He's on a scooter. I threw away skateboards. We don't have one. He doesn't have one. He's not going to have one. That's just me. But he wears a helmet everywhere he goes. Maybe back. That time?
Mhm.
Oh. Anyway, quickly, here are a few links you can go through. Carolina Donor Services, that's who handles the organ procurement here. Also donatelifenc.org. This is a blog spot that my wife does. Just lets you, every now and then she may update it, and it just tells some stuff about our story. This is a very important one to me, the JKK Helmet Foundation. That's the group that started. Whether you want to help raise helmets, if you want to help, money, because they can buy helmets cheaper than we can. You can also go to redcross.org for information about donating blood. Push your parents towards doing it. Or UNOS. UNOS is the National Organ Network. United Network for Organ Sharing is what UNOS stands.
Can you do it in middle? Can you like donate blood in middle school yet?
Yeah, you can
You have to be 18.
I think you have to be 18. You have to be 18 years old.
My friend did it.
So-
You may be able to at
I will say my friend did it when he was
16
With parent consent.
with a parent. Because we did a fundraiser one year and we had the Red Cross come with their, their big truck, like bus that they have. And I think there was a young man who donated that year and he was 16, but his mom gave permission that he could do it.
So you just have to like
Any questions?
Do I?
What fire department do you work for?
Rhoda, which is the one over here on Frogville Road.
I think my uncle was a volunteer firefighter there, Stephen Whaley.
Oh, yeah.
I know Steve. Very well. I grew up kind of with Steve, so I know your uncle.
Yeah, I knew you looked familiar.
What's your
so-
name?
Brandon
Okay.
Smith.
And your
Who's your
mom
mom?
is?
Jennifer Smith.
Oh,
Okay.
Lord have mercy. Tell your mom and daddy yes, I know your mom and daddy. Yes, ma'am.
This is actually another question about your work, but I'm pretty. I don't know if it's this fire department, but I have a friend who's a volunteer at one. His name is Jason Donica.
Anybody got anything about organs? Chris, did you have a question earlier?
Oh yeah, it was about the regions.
Mhm.
Why are some some regions divided into different things, like those islands like Hawaii, some places
Well,
that are separate lands,
so-
their own regions.
So this was kind of what I've been told, and I don't know if it's true. We haven't really caught searched this part, but North Carolina is unique that we have 3 full organ transplant centers. All right, Biden is not an organ transplant center. Yes, they will transplant a kidney or something every now and then, but they're not a transplant center. The transplant centers are Duke, Chapel Hill, and then Carolina's Medical Center in Charlotte. So it has something to do with the amount of transplant centers you have and the population that you have.
Because I was thinking that if you had an island like Hawaii or something, why wouldn't you have your own region there? Because isn't it going to be difficult to take a plane?
Yeah, it has something to do there again with population.
And you might could look on that UNOS website that I gave you. There could be some information that that might would answer that question.
Anybody else?
I remember reading an article not too long ago about the problem with being in islands like Hawaii is the survivability, if that's a word, of the organ in transport. They were having a lot of difficulty helping people that were within that region. So the new discovery with the heart in a box and the lungs in a box, that new technology that allows the heart or the lungs to keep pumping or the lungs to keep breathing mechanically has now helped people in those regions be able to receive them.
Now it's just come out for liver too.
Really? Oh
I
wow.
just read an article about it.
Wow.
It's experimental. So, but they're going, so basically, I mean, obviously organ donation is very important. Please spread the word to your family. And if you want to be organ donors, please. But the big things, please, if you don't have a helmet, please get one. If you have a helmet, please wear it. I mean, don't worry about feeling stupid. I mean, I'm living proof why you should have a helmet.
Our daughter's 9, so you have to think from the time that Ray had his second transplant, she was really little. So she's grown up knowing that if she is on a scooter or a bike, or she got like a little motor scooter for Christmas, she knows that she better have a helmet on her head. It's second nature to her. Sometimes she'll come in the house to like fix her lunch when she's outside playing, and you'll see her at the table and you're like, Riley, why do you have your helmet on? She just forgets because it's so second nature to her that she knows that if she's on something mechanical like that or that has wheels, she needs to have a helmet on. So
You'll see her run around the yard playing with her friends. She's got her helmet on.
And that's it, just making it a habit like
Just
that.
making it happen. And you go find ones that aren't like Georgie looking. You can find some that are pretty decent, but just wear them. Anything else?
If our kids were interested in getting, or being a volunteer, helping with the Jonah King Foundation, especially for this age group, it's hard for them to figure out what can I do. This is something obviously that they can be a part of.
So you can go to the links on the page. You can go to the website. You can learn all about it. If you want to start something here, you can always get in touch with me or my wife Janet, either one. You can also say something to Jackson, email Jackson to talk to us through Jackson, that's fine. You can either gather helmets, brand new or very gently used. And some people have helmets that are worn but aren't scratched, aren't dented, aren't anything. They'll take those too. They'll also take money because now they've got big enough, they can buy helmets straight from